Hi guys. So I wanted to make this video to tell you about why I am heavily into astrology, why I study astrology actively, and why I try and pull other people into astrology, and why I believe in astrology when I used to be someone who believed in science only and had to be a physical, tangible thing that I could hold in my hands, or, some kind of proof that it's real before I would believe in it. Only after growing up as a Christian, or actively going to church with my family. I went to church with my family most of the time growing up, and I was kind of jaded by church by the time I was a teenager. I had always felt like, using it in a way like fear tactics, making people want to come in because they're afraid they're going to burn in hell, or that they need to change and repent their sins and humiliate themselves in front of, maybe even hundreds, thousands of people at times, was always really weird to me. I think that living in your truth is great. I think that being honest is always the way to go. I think that being honest with yourself, however, is more important. And whether or not people know things about you publicly is kind of irrelevant. Your life can become a lot more difficult, it seems, when you've made a mistake, or you've done something that's sort of taboo, and then people know about it. Then they tend to make your life harder, and it makes you more insecure and more self-conscious rather than self-aware. So I'm not saying that we should all be secretive and that we should, hide ourselves away by any means. What I'm saying, in fact, is that we should be more confident in who we are, and we shouldn't have to feel pressured to do things and say things because we're fearful. I think that's definitely the wrong way to go. To me, being a Christian would be to be Christ-like, to walk behind or on the path of Jesus Christ. Now, I'm not even sure if I really believe that Jesus Christ was a real person. He might have just been a symbol for a time in history, or a shift in consciousness. Now, Jesus Christ is a perfect example of the fourth chakra, which is the heart chakra. And the heart chakra is all about compassion and understanding and love and expansion through sharing oneself and one's resources and giving of oneself to another, and not just love, but unconditional love. Unconditional love would be, it doesn't matter what you do, who you are, what you say, how you act, whatever, I love you. Unconditional love is when you can still love someone despite all of their many flaws, and be open and receptive into understanding what makes that person who they are. It doesn't mean that you have to accept, bad deeds or immoral things that they do. It just means that you love them anyway. And, I don't think that anyone who wouldn't allow a prostitute to wash their feet could call themselves a Christian, because that's, in my opinion, just not what it is. So that jaded me for sure. And so and that's just kind of the tip of it. Because of that, by the time I was in my early 20s, just didn't want really anything to do with church. So I kind of became agnostic. I wasn't really sure what my beliefs were. So I just stayed in my imagination a lot and fantasized about, alternate realities and different worlds and dystopian, kind of things. Or, don't know, revolutionary ideals and radical outlooks. Very liberal and very open or even extreme points of view. I was just, I guess looking back on it now, I realized that I was just itching to get away from the way I had grown up. And that's not really the right way to go about things either. But it took these two extremes to bring me to a place in the middle. And I believe for me that is with metaphysics and astrology and tarot cards and things like that, which, it seems new age and seems like a trend, and perhaps it is, but it's irrelevant because it has really, really changed my life. It's changed my heart, my mind. It's made me a healthier human being, a more compassionate, more self-aware human being. And I've done extensive research, and I've worked with a lot of people, and I've done this numerous times now. But astrology it's dated back at the very beginning. If you look back in ancient Egypt, the Mayans, in ancient China, Tibet, anywhere, any ancient religion, the Zoroastrians, anywhere, in Judaism, it's everywhere. It's everywhere, and you don't even realize it. See, astrology is not just your sun sign that is plastered in a magazine or in a tabloid or on an app that's just dull and simple on your phone. No, that's not what astrology is. Astrology is so much more than that. You've got to understand that it's not just your sun sign. You're not just a Libra. You're not just a Scorpio. You're not just a Virgo. You are so much more than that. And once you understand how incredibly detailed and what's the right word? Deep. It's very, very, very deep. I mean, so you've got 3 top signs. You've got your sun sign, obviously. Now, your sun sign is what you will kind of grow toward. So the sun is up. Now, flowers, when they grow, grass, trees, everything, when it grows up from the ground, it grows toward the sun. If you have a pot in your house with a flower growing, notice how the flower will grow toward the window, wherever the sun is. It will grow toward wherever it can meet the sun. And so that is what our sun sign is. It's what we grow toward. So it's not necessary. If you don't resonate with your sun sign, understand that that's why. It's because you are supposed to become this person. It's not necessarily who you were born as. Maybe some of you are lucky enough to not have to do as much work as others. I am not one of those people. I'm a Capricorn, and I am probably the messiest, most unorganized, scattered Capricorn you have ever met in your life. And so for my entire life, I am growing to be someone who can stay focused and stay organized and responsible, because that's just not something that's innate. And then you've got your moon sign. Now, your moon sign is just as important, because this is who you are, but this is a little bit more complex, because your moon sign is who you are internally. It's who you are emotionally. It's who you are on the inside. It's who you might be that you don't share with the rest of the world. It is who you may not even know who you are, because it's unconscious most of the time. It is who you are at a very deep core level, and things that you're working on for your entire life as well that might be incredibly difficult and traumatic. This is oftentimes connected to our mothers. But yeah, so this is a totally different side of yourself. And like I said, it's as equally as important. And if you don't know this facet, then, you don't know the half of it. And then you have your rising sign. Your rising sign is not a planet. It's not anything that you can find in the sky. It is a mathematical point on the map. When you see the map with all 12 of the zodiac signs on it, the one, well, I can't really show you here, but your rising sign is the planet that is rising, or the house, the zodiac sign that is rising up over the horizon at the time of your birth. So mine is Cancer. So your rising sign is who you show to the world. It could be like a mask that you wear, or, you know, it might not be a mask. It might, for you, just be the person that you don't realize that the world is seeing, or, you know, the persona that you have, or just your personality as a whole, according to everyone outside of you. And a lot of times you don't realize this about yourself. This is how you look. This is how you come across. This is the type of person that the world thinks that you are. So mine is Cancer, like I said. So that means that I come off nurturing, crabby, temperamental. I escape into my shell, which means I isolate. When I feel like I need to defend myself, I just kind of hide. I am very nurturing, loving, and those are things that I know about myself, that when I just knew that I was a Capricorn, I was like, well, that's not, you know, that's not right, because I feel like I'm not that cold. But now the thing that I'm learning in life is that I have often given myself away too easily. And so I have to meet this Cancerian with my Capricorn. My Capricorn. I have to meet my Cancer with my Capricorn. And don't forget my Leo moon. My Leo moon is so exuberant. Anyway, so I have to tone this down a little bit with my Capricorn. So my Cancer just wants to like throw everything in the floor and not care about the pile of clothes. And the Capricorn is like, oh, God, that is just filthy. You've got to pick that up. You've got to do the laundry. So it's like a battle that goes on. And then my Leo moon is like, whatever, just put it all on and have fun. Woo! So these are, you know, different characteristics of your personality that make you up as a whole. But that's just the tip of the iceberg, because you also have, you have your Mercury sign, you have your Venus sign, you have your Mars, Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus, Neptune, Pluto, Chiron, Lilith. You have your MC, you have your IC, you have your DC. And the list goes on and on and on. Your nodes of the moon, okay? And then all of these things, well, almost all of them, will not only be in a sign paired to a planet, but it will also be in a house. So as there's 10 planets, 12 signs, and 12 houses, and they're all separate. So, for example, I have my moon in Leo in the second house. Well, it's almost in the first house, so I kind of have both qualities. So the house that it's in is where your planet and sign will express itself. So the characteristics come from the sign and the planets, or they can also be major points in your life, or major, changes or stuff like that, while the houses show where those things are expressed. So having my Venus, Mercury, and Mars all in the 5th house, which is ruled by Scorpio, which means that I have fun learning, loving, and playing with my kids, and being very passionate. So the 5th house is kids. It's fun. It's all of those things. Let's see, what else is the 5th house? It's pleasure, things like that. So having Mercury there, taking pleasure in, because Mercury is knowledge or wisdom or learning, or communicating. So I take pleasure in communicating, or I take pleasure in learning. Venus there, I take pleasure in love. I take pleasure in beauty. And then Mars there, playing sports, having fun playing, soccer or something. So that's how it works. And then you can see transits. Transits are things that tell you what is happening in your life at a certain time. So it is and that still is just the tip of the iceberg. Now, there's things that can, what we call aspect. So having my Mars, my Venus, and my Mercury all in the 5th house would mean that they are aspecting, most likely. They're most likely in the same sign, which is Scorpio. So this means that although my Mercury and my Mars are in Sagittarius, the house that they're in is under Scorpio, which that house, the 5th house, is the Leo house, or is naturally ruled by Leo. Mine is not in Leo, personally. But it is naturally ruled by Leo. Mine, personally, is in Scorpio. So that means that having Sagittarius, or having Mercury and Mars in Sagittarius in a house ruled by Scorpio that is naturally Leo, means that all of those things are going to kind of work together as one larger thing. But sometimes they can also repel. They can not like each other. They can cause complications and restrictions and all kinds of things. So why would a person want to study astrology? What is the point? It is not to tell you about how your day is going to go. No. I mean, it can, sure, but it is so much more than that. It is to make you self-aware. And sometimes being self-aware is very uncomfortable. Being self-aware, however, allows you to understand who you are. And when you're insecure and you don't like something about yourself, when you become self-aware of it, then it is in your power to change it. You can't change it if you don't know what it is. So that is the beauty of astrology. Now, that is not really what people studied it for, I'm assuming, thousands and thousands of years ago. I believe, and even now, this is true, but I think now it is more and more important to be self-aware than ever, because we are going through a major shift in time. The right here, the right now, is major happenings, and if you study astrology, you'll know that. But that brings me to my point that I was just making. Thousands and thousands of years ago, I believe that astrology was primarily used for understanding what was happening within our world, our solar system, our universe, possibly beyond. Now, it's hard to know what's beyond that if you don't know the astrology of another galaxy, but you can probably see, and I don't know for a fact, but you can probably see connections. I'm sure that we somehow can see in astrology our connections to Andromeda, our neighboring galaxy, but I don't know. Anyway, that's not really the point here. So there's many people in history, long time ago, thousands of years, who studied astrology so that they would know what was happening or what was going to happen, or what was kind of predestined in a way to change. So is there a war coming? Is there, some kind of plague? Is there disease? Is there famine? Blah, blah, blah. Anything like that. In astrology, if you know what to do, if you know how to use it, you can see those types of things. Now, if you know anything about physics, you understand. Well, let me back up a little. I bet the majority of you know this. Energy can neither be destroyed nor created. It can only move. Now, we live in a free will universe. But everything that happens, as above, so below. As within, so without. Everything that happens is like water rippling. When you throw a pebble into the water, what happens? It ripples out. But before it stops moving, it ripples back in, right? So vibration, frequency, all of those things have an effect. When you hear a noise, it's not just a noise, it's a vibration that comes out of something that must vibrate in your inner ear There's a little tiny bone in there, and that bone has to vibrate in order for you to hear that noise. And if it doesn't, then you don't hear it. So that's what I'm saying here. At a level of physics, if we're gonna, look at it scientifically, we have to understand that energy can neither be destroyed nor created. It can only move. So everything that happens moves everywhere, and it will touch you at some point. So if the moon is moving, we know that it has a gravitational pull on water, and our planet is mostly made up of water. We know that, okay? We are mostly made up of water. So if that is true, you've got to think we have to be affected, do we not? When an asteroid comes close, we might not feel it, but it has an effect. When a comet comes really close, it has an effect. When we are born under the rule of Jupiter, it has an effect because it's closer to our planet, to our sun, to our moon than the others. So it's going to have more impact. That's physics. When things move, because they're not destroyed nor created, they're not just suddenly happening from, nowhere. It is always somewhere, and it's always happening at some time. Do you understand what I'm saying? I might be going off too deep here. I might be too philosophical on this. But my point is that there is a reason why people have been studying this for thousands of years. It's ancient knowledge, it's wisdom, and perhaps there's a reason why it has the reputation that it does. Because if you have this knowledge, if you have this wisdom, there might be some people that don't want the public to have this. It could be a dangerous thing. If you know what you're capable of, and you know who you are, and you know what you can really do, that gives you power. And power is scary in the wrong hands. But no one should take anyone's free will. Everyone should be entitled to free will. So if you haven't looked too far into astrology, please go check out my blog. I am dying for more people to check it out. I don't YouTube as much anymore, but I am always writing and I'm always doing something, and you can keep up with me in multiple places. If you haven't been there, check it out at either inlakinslabyrinth.com or lakinslabyrinth.net. And you can find me on multiple social... There's that Leo moon. I'll be darned. I don't know what's wrong with me. I'm still becoming more and more self-aware every day. All right, guys. I'll see you next time. Bye. Toodaloo.